It's 10 o'clock and this is Observer Radio News. I'm Selena Mann with Rima Ramoul and Amanda Lee. In the weather, it's a cool and sunny 5 degrees outside our East York studios. Now, here are the headlines. More troops to Afghanistan, Madonna adopts another girl, and Patrick Chan wins silver. Now our top story. President Barack Obama's Afghanistan war strategy is expected to be released today. The United States is not going to take troops out of Afghanistan anytime soon. Obama plans to send more troops to the country to fight overseas against terror. He has decided to deploy more military and civilian trainers to Afghanistan. When the United States will leave the country is unknown. The conflict within its borders has been going on for over 7 years now. Obama says that he will not leave the country until all terrorist organizations are eliminated. He also says that the country needs to be stabilized before the U.S. can remove troops. A total of 4,000 more troops will be sent to Afghanistan in order to train the Afghan military so that they can defend the country from terrorists. The president also hopes to deploy U.S. civilians to help rebuild the country. The president says that terrorist organizations like the Taliban are based in Pakistan. He plans to combat this by giving money to the Pakistani government. Obama has let the Pakistani and Afghan presidents know of his intentions. Another spring has arrived, and just as it warms up, hunters are preparing to embark on a mass killing of seals. The annual seal hunt began Monday in northern Canada. 250,000 seals have been killed so far. Many more are expected to be clubbed to death. The seal hunt has been banned in Russia recently, and seal fur was banned in Europe over 3 years ago. Attempts to pressure the Canadian government to ban the seal hunt have been turned away by the Canadian government. Al Jazeera's English language television network's editor Tony Berman spoke at University of Toronto's Innis College last night. Berman, formerly of the CBC, promoted his channel's consideration by the CRTC for inclusion on Canadian airwaves. Sean Sillers has this report.
Well, I think Al Jazeera is obviously an international news channel, so it's a bigger platform, a bigger playing field, so to speak. I think a lot of the public broadcast values that are evident at CBC are at play at Al Jazeera as well. So in that way, I find the transition a very congenial one.
That was Al Jazeera's English's managing director, Tony Berman, speaking about his intention to bring his network to Canadian TV. Avi Lewis has left Canada to join Berman at Al Jazeera English. He explains his work with the emerging network.
Giving a voice to the voiceless there's a developing world within all developed countries, so-called developed countries. There is a third world within every first world, and you don't have to go very far from anywhere to find it. Yeah. So to find the people who are actually on the receiving end of the policies, document the way policies forged in Washington or Ottawa actually impact people's lives and how they struggle to survive, is a lens that you can bring within a North American context that is very much what Al Jazeera is trying to do globally.
The CRTC is currently deciding whether to allow Al Jazeera English onto Canadian airwaves. Sean Sillers, Observer Radio, Toronto.
And that's the latest news. Now here's Rima with sports.
Thank you, Selena, and good morning, everyone. We start off with some good news as it's a silver medal for Patrick Chan. The 18-year-old won second place in last night's free skate at the World Figure Skating Championships hosted in Los Angeles. He was previously ranked third but delivered a flawless routine and ended up winning against his chief rival in the competition, Brian Joubert from France. The gold medal went to United States' Ivan Lizachek, while Joubert took home the bronze after falling on the ice during the program. Chan told CBC that, quote, "It's a big shock. It's going to be weird going back to high school because I have to be a regular guy again," unquote. Congratulations, Patrick. Well, basketball has added a new rule to its rulebook, and it's taken effect today. The regulation would solve the exceptional problem of having too many players on the court. This comes as the Portland Trail Blazers scored against the Boston Celtics earlier this season while they had one too many men. The rule states that if the team at fault is given a technical foul for having extra players, then the opposing team chooses whether it accepts or rejects the last play. If the team decides to cancel it, then the clock is set back to the time right before the violation took place. It's now been a week since Natasha Richardson died after a ski fall, and the incident pushed the Canadian Standards Association to speed up their introduction of new standards for skiing and snowboarding helmets. CBC reported that the organization's vice president, John Walters, said, quote, "This is the first such standard in Canada. These helmets are meant to sustain multiple impacts," unquote. According to studies, traumatic brain injury is the main cause of death among skiers and snowboarders. But on the bright side, a helmet reduces head injuries by 60%. Now, though the economy may be crumbling, don't expect the owner of the Montreal Canadiens to be throwing in the towel just yet. George Gillette has denied earlier reports which stated that he was selling some of his major sports assets in light of the recession. TSN reported that Gillette accused the media of twisting the story, while he asserts that they are simply doing a bit of estate planning and taking a look at various assets. Gillette said, quote, "There are some serious financial implications to what is going on in the world and the world economy. But frankly, we are fortunate to be involved in sports and sports entertainment," unquote. Continuing with hockey, fans braved icy temperatures to see the Toronto Maple Leafs practice outside at High Park 2 weeks ago. The Leafs were there to kick off a special charity program. And as Victoria Wells reports, the results benefited fans and the neighborhood ice rink.
Kids cheer on the Toronto Maple Leafs during an outdoor practice in High Park last week. Hundreds of fans braved the frigid cold to see the Leafs play. The best part? Seeing the practice for free. 7-year-old Nathan Petrosh watched with his great-grandmother.
I haven't really been to an outdoor practice before, so it's probably going to be really fun. I'm really happy that I skipped school.
The Maple Leafs held the practice to kick off this year's Hockey Rink Legacy program. That's a Leafs charity that partners with Home Depot to refurbish outdoor ice rinks in Toronto. So far, 8 rinks have been fixed up. At High Park, the dressing rooms got a fresh coat of paint. New metal fencing was put in, and the ice got resurfaced. Mayor David Miller thanked the program for improving rinks in the city.
We're proud of the wonderful partnership. Both Home Depot and the Leafs give back to the community. They refurbish these fabulous outdoor rinks where everyone can skate, play shinny, and it's all free.
Leafs coach Ron Wilson said the team wants to give back to Toronto, and one way to do that is to make sure people have a safe place to skate. Victoria Wells, Toronto Observer Radio News.
We now leave you with some upcoming games to watch out for. In hockey, the Toronto Maple Leafs host the Boston Bruins at 7 at the Air Canada Centre this Saturday. They also face the Buffalo Sabres tonight at 7:30, but don't expect to see their goalie Martin Gerber on the ice. He starts his 3-game suspension after abusing a referee during Wednesday's game against the Washington Capitals. In basketball, the Chicago Bulls take on the Toronto Raptors at 3:30 this Sunday, while the expansion Oklahoma City Thunder visit the Raptors for the first time in franchise history tonight at 7. And that's all the world of sports. Stay with us after the break when Amanda will have all the buzz and entertainment.
I'm kind of a hopeless romantic. My husband, he's just kind of hopeless. But I discovered a surefire way to get him to bring me flowers. All I do is call him up at his office at about 10 o'clock in the morning and say, "Hi, honey, do you know what today is?" Silence. Then I say, "You sniff, you don't know?" He says. Then I go, "Well, I don't want to talk to you until you can tell me what today is." And then I hang up. Then just when he's ready to go home, I call him and say, "If you don't know what today is, maybe you can remember to pick up some potatoes at Winn-Dixie on the way home. Potatoes are right next to the flowers." It never fails. He walks in the door with a sack of potatoes, a bouquet of flowers, and says, "Honey, I'm sorry. I just can't remember what today is." So I tell him it's Tuesday.
All right, go.
Thanks, Rima. In entertainment news, Madonna isn't letting her single mother status stop her from adopting another child. She'll be in Malawi this weekend to adopt a girl. Madonna has 3 kids, including 3-year-old David Bana, whom she adopted from Malawi in 2006. That adoption was smeared with controversy, and this time around is no different, with Malawian officials concerned with what they perceive as her lascivious lifestyle. But as we all know by now, what the Queen wants, the Queen gets. Rihanna got herself a gun, and no, it's not what you think. The singer got a tattoo of a gun on her ribcage. Looks like she's trying to remind us of her good girl gone bad image in light of the alleged verbal and physical beatings she received from her boyfriend Chris Brown. Is a violent symbol an act of empowerment or a symptom of abuse? Let's hope they both get the counseling they need. Sean Penn will star in the Three Stooges movie. Jim Carrey is in negotiations, and producers are hoping to get Benicio del Toro. An interesting threesome indeed. This weekend, monsters, aliens, and ghosts are taking over the silver screen. New movies include Monsters vs. Aliens and The Haunting in Connecticut. Toronto welcomed music comedy sketch band Die Roten Punkt for a third year in a row. That's the red dots for those of you who don't speak German. The duo is promoting their new album Super Music Hunt on their I Am Not a Robot, I Am a Lion tour. Monique Plessis has the report.
Otto is apologizing because Astrid didn't say anything, didn't show her ass.
They're from Australia, not Germany. In real life, they're not related. In the band, they pretend to be brother and sister. In fact, critics say their whole act is a takeoff on the punk rock scene. But the duo of Die Roten Punkt knows their shtick works. They won't even get out of character for an interview. Claire Bartholomew plays Astrid, and Daniel Tobias plays Otto, her brother.
Astrid, she's more like this now because she was in drug and alcohol rehabilitation.
Don't talk about that. Why are you doing it again?
What? But people already know. It's not a secret.
It might be. It could have been before you tell everyone.
But everyone knows.
Just short, because you tell everyone.
Okay, sorry.
The performance is a combination of music and childish antics on stage. They play out their phony, dysfunctional relationship throughout their concert. Otto throws many petty tantrums, while Astrid plays the older sister who's dealing with obvious alcohol problems. If you're confused so far, don't worry. It all comes together in the first 5 minutes of the show. By then, you'll be singing along as they get everyone to join in. Monique Plessis, Observer Radio News, Toronto.
And now that you have your entertainment fix, it's back to Selena.
Thanks, Amanda. That's the news for now. You can hear more news coming up in about 15 minutes on the internet at ondemand.centennialcollege.ca. On behalf of us all here at Observer Radio News, thanks for listening and have a great day.